Let's talk about fun. Or should we say Flemington? Because fun and Flemington are one and the same. This place has an electricity that pulses through 183 years of racing history. It's here we celebrate what has been and gone, what is happening right now, and what's still to come along one of the world's most famous stretches of turf.
And they're racing.
Of course, Flemington holds the party of all parties, the magical Melbourne Cup Carnival. But how lucky we are to sample an early taste and kick up the heels in the Tab Turnbull Stakes, a Group 1 whose 2,000 metres have been stepping stones to greatness. Think of Mackay Diva, Northerly, Sunlight, and the mighty mare Winx. Winning was their way.
Winx over the top. Oh, she's too good. They can't beat her.
You know, it's so wonderful for our industry to have a horse like this. She's a once-in-a-lifetime horse.
The names and deeds of champions travel through time, and for one, this year, the journey has been over the seas. Irish-born romantic warrior. He has conquered Hong Kong, but can he stake his flag in Australia?
He's 3 lengths over Money Catcher, then on the Kid. He is the perfect racehorse, romantic warrior.
Questions will soon be answered, just as fashions are unveiled, styles turn heads, and we all have the chance to dance as though no one's watching. Unless we want them to. It's an unforgettable time of year where seeing is believing.
There's no doubt it is the biggest party and the best racing carnival anywhere in the world. It is great to have your company once again on the road to the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Over the next few weeks, we will count down some of the best racing and, of course, the biggest moments. And we have the biggest names in the game to help you out, including 3-time Melbourne Cup winning jockey Glenn Boss. This is Excitement Central Spring Carnival time.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, Michael. And I've been fortunate enough to be involved in some of the biggest stories over the carnival, but I'm going to make a prediction right now. Gator, this will be probably one for the ages.
All right, he started with a bang. We've got some of the best horses and the best jockeys culminating in Melbourne Cup Week. Gator, we need you to help us find winners. What about the Spring Carnival that is on our doorstep?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fabulous, we know that, but it's about the equine athlete, isn't it, mostly? You know, I love the jockey stories, we'll get to all of that, but this is their time to shine. It's their Olympics, really, for the equine athletes, and it's shaping as one of the best I've seen as well. Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. We'll talk more about the equine athletes on Turnbull Stakes Day with an X-Factor horse from Hong Kong, but how good is it to bring into the coverage once again Britt Taylor, who joins us. A little bit of sensible outcome for all of the viewers out there that we've got Britt here with us. How are you, Britt?
I'm sure we're going to have plenty of fun, but I'll be here to straighten you up where we need. Can you believe it? We are only a month away from Melbourne Cup Carnival Week. To think that in this time in a month we'll be preparing for Derby Day, it's just so exciting.
It comes around very quickly, doesn't it? And we have it all kicking off with Tab Turnbull Stakes Day. We mentioned Romantic Warrior, the hero from Hong Kong. We'll talk more about him in action at Flemington. And then we kick into the Caulfield Cup Carnival with the Caulfield Guineas, the Toorak, and then the first of the majors on the 21st of October, followed by the Cox Plate, which is where Romantic Warrior is heading. And then it is the magical week of the Melbourne Cup Carnival. On the 4th of November, the Penfolds Victoria Derby. Then it's the big one, the Lexus Melbourne Cup, followed by Oaks Day, Kennedy Oaks Day on the 9th. And then what is fast becoming the biggest and best day of all 4 days, it is the Tab Champions Stakes Day. And as well as the great horses, we are lucky because we have one of the most unbelievable storylines for this year's Melbourne Cup Week, where we farewell 2 of the best we have ever seen.
Having success during that week, I think people like to go to people that have been there and done it.
Warning, 2 legs Southern Moon, and it's Damien Oliver, and Warning to win the Derby. Do Sir Willowy dives, he's done it, Ollie. He's 7th Oaks.
She said, I know by the time I can't stop, we're doing well.
Cobb is in front, Frankie on fire on his farewell. Gregory finding plenty under the Dettori drive. And Porta Fortuna has taken over here. It's 80 winners and counting of Royal Ascot for Frankie.
Well, I think the Cups are obviously treasured because they're, one, so hard to win. I managed to win 3 in 3 different decades, so, the longevity of those.
Fiorente by a neck, Oliver's lifting him, and Fiorente won the Melbourne Cup for
didn't realise the magnitude of the Melbourne Cup. On the Tuesday I turned up, was 120,000 people. I mean, it was like, blew out of your mind.
Under Frankie has won the Gold Cup. Busted out, and it's a record-breaking jump on international success for Frankie on his first.
It's the week you really want to peak at. You've worked the whole year to build towards getting on the right horses coming into that week.
The Wizard has done it again. Unbelievable. Another Group 1 victory for Damien Oliver.
This is going to be desperately close. Absurd and Frankie, though, just goes on to win on his final ride at York.
It's nuts, yeah. Anything can happen at the moment with me, so thanks very much. I'll see you in Melbourne.
You know, any of those big ones in Cup Week you treasure, and I feel very fortunate I've been able to win a lot of them over a long period of time.
Yes, the two goats farewell us. Damien Oliver, the best Australia's ever seen, 129 Group 1s, and the best and most successful jockey we've ever seen over Melbourne Cup Week. And then Frankie Dettori, arguably the best the world has ever seen. Look at that, 287 Group 1s. He's been coming out to the Melbourne Cup for many years. Can he finally win the Melbourne Cup? It is going to be one of the great Spring Carnival storylines. Bossy, is that your biggest storyline of the carnival?
Yeah, for me it is. I mean, I hope people just turn up those, especially the 4 days at Flemington, to just watch Ollie, you know, because you're not going to see this again. He is our GOAT. It's going to be an emotional time for him, and I think hopefully he's going to take us along that ride for the whole 4 days. But to see Frankie here, he's been dying to win a cup. He's been dying to win races here. And when you speak to him, and I'm a mate of Frankie's, he's won all these great races around the world. This is the one he wants to win.
He's been riding unbelievably well ever since he announced this was going to be his final year. So the question is, can both Ollie and Frankie get a ride in this year's Cup with the weights?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I just hope it does happen, but it's going to be difficult because they're both heavyweight riders.
Gator, what's your storyline to look out for?
Well, I think, first of all, I have some minor concerns around my learned colleagues, Brett and Glenn, how long it took them to work out how many days were remaining till Derby Day. But look, that's a whole different point. Look, I think the locals versus the invaders is a big story. It's 3-2 over the last 5 years. 3 for the home, the Black Shorts, and 2 for the invaders. And before you get on my back, we have adopted the locals. Plenty of them are overseas bred, sure. But if you look up Webster's dictionary, it tells you that the inhabitant of a neighbourhood is a local. So we're going with it this year.
Britt, is your storyline going to be how are you going to put up with Gator throughout the Melbourne Cup Carnival?
I think that is the number one storyline, but mine's actually a hybrid of the two that we've just already heard, and that is the invasion of the international jockeys. Obviously, Frankie Dettori, I'm so excited to see here in Melbourne. Whether or not he gets that cup ride, we'll have to wait and see, but even if he is to win big races on the undercard, we know the excitement that he brings. Imagine that flying dismount in the Flemington mounting yard. The crowd will just erupt. I remember my favourite VCR growing up was Frankie Dettori's horsing around. It was just a silly video of him being the entertainer that he is. So he's a big headline act. But of the others as well, you've got the Japanese champ, Yutaka Take. We've already seen what Joe Moreira and Ryan Moore have been able to do in Australia. We're hoping to see Holly Doyle and Tom Marquand, although we've called him Aussie Tom, haven't we? And an Australian, Zach Purton, well, he's locked in his cup ride. We're sort of almost calling him Hong Kong's now, but he is an Aussie, and he'll be riding Absurd for Willie Mullins. And Willie Mullins has gone close on a number of occasions with Max Dynamite, so hoping he can go one better this year.
Outstanding. It is mouthwatering, isn't it? And Gator used to have films that he watched when he was growing up all those years ago. I'm going to have my storyline, a bit of state v state. We're very parochial, aren't we? Is it going to be the Melbourne form that stands up, or the Sydney form, trainers and jockeys who are the most dominant throughout this Spring Carnival?
Yeah, hang on, Michael, what about the Perth form?
No.
The little horse called Amelia's Jewel, the New Zealand form in Territories, a few good mares?
Yeah, no, they will both run very, very well. Have you got anything from Queensland for us, Bossy?
Oh, nothing from Queensland this year. Nothing that good anyway, put it that way.
We'll take a quick break. You are watching the road to the Melbourne Cup Carnival. On the other side of this, we've got plenty more action. How about this to get the blood pumping in the countdown to the Melbourne Cup?
So we're at Boolyah, which is 3 hours south of Mount Isa. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's the best place I've ever been. I swear to God, it's been so much fun. I'm retired, but this is too tempting. I've never ridden a camel. This can't be too hard. They tell me he's pretty quick and they tell me he's nice and quiet, so I'm putting all my trust in Billy. Big Billy. Oh, you're going to be good to me, Billy, aren't you? I'll be good to you. Just out there walking the track. It's pretty firm, but I reckon I found a fast lane.
Ever seen him ride a camel?
No, never before, but he owed me plenty of money from the horses.
Well, this is going well, isn't it? We're having a bit of a false start. Billy didn't want to play the game. Gonna get him up? Mate, that was unbelievable. Like, Billy was like a shopping trolley the whole way down the straight until the last 100 metres he straightened up and then actually had a gallop, and then actually it felt real smooth and good then, but oh my God, I tell you what, my heart is still jumping out of my chest. That was so exciting.
Fair to say, Bossy, not going to be a camel jockey anytime soon. Three-time Melbourne Cup winner in the Maccabi Diva Silks. Billy didn't really let down like the Diva though, did he?
No, he was pretty wild. I can only liken it to driving a car down a freeway with no steering wheel. It was exciting but scary at the same time.
No bridle, no control. That was sensational.
Nothing at all.
Well, hopefully one horse is going to have a better turn of foot than Billy will be. Romantic Warrior at Flemington in the Turnbull. He's been the most talked about horse of the Spring Carnival so far, the Hong Kong champ. Let's hear what they think about Romantic Warrior.
Well, I woke up pretty early without an alarm clock, so I sprang out of bed pretty quickly, and yeah, it was really good to get back on his back. I think he's an absolute damn good horse, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do here. Don't think he's near his peak in terms of we've still got Danny's got a month to go, so he'll improve out of the race. But in saying that, he'll be hard to beat.
The potential, I never doubt his potential. He is a talent horse, he's a superstar. We not come for fun, we come for win. You know, I really expect the horse can win, yeah.
Danny Shum, the trainer there, and J-Mac, he is the superstar in Hong Kong. But we don't see many Hong Kong horses come to Australia, Bossy.
This is pretty rare, and I had a really good chat to J-Mac yesterday, and he talks about this horse in the same breath as Animo, which I find hard to believe, but he really does believe this horse is a superstar.
We did get a line on the form, though, through at that horse you speak of in Animo, because the horse that he thrashed over there was Due by Honour. Yes. That's the horse who made Animo look second-rate over here only a few months ago.
OK, let's see what the stats tell us about Romantic Warrior and the opposition. Of course, we've got another international horse racing there as well in West Wind Blows, who's going to have a lead-up run to a Caulfield Cup or a Cox Plate. And Britt, when we look at the Turnbull Stakes in recent years, it's the best horses come out of the Turnbull to win the biggest races.
Well, it's just been such a strong form reference, hasn't it, going towards a Melbourne Cup. I wouldn't mind backing whoever runs fourth in the Turnbull on the weekend to win the Melbourne Cup. That seems to be a bit of a formula for success.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Would you be wanting to ride him tomorrow then? Have you got any dangers? Might not have seen a slightly rain-affected track. First time at Flemington, out of his comfort zone of Hong Kong, or are you with him?
Well, speaking to J-Mac, he says the horse has done everything right, but he's going to improve out of the run. And if he's going to be a little bit chink in the armour, Ozapinko, who I thought ran super in the Maccabi Diva, with D. Oliver on, he's going to leave no stone unturned to win.
And there's still the travel aspect as well. I mean, it's not just equine athletes, but you look at any sport where humans or whoever they have to travel, it has an impact on them, on their performance at times.
Well, they're out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
You look at what Osipenko does here, though, just had to wait, ease behind heels, and, gee, when he finds a bit of clear room, he hits the line really nicely. He should be very competitive.
Drawn a good gate, got D. Oliver on board Osipenko tomorrow. One of the other form races is the Underwood, and while a horse like Solka may not win a Turnbull tomorrow, he could be the horse that we're talking about in 30 days' time for a Melbourne Cup and also a Caulfield Cup.
Yeah, this was a slashing run. It was a better day to be up near the speed, in my view, and he was only second up. He was only going up 100 metres, so you think, oh, it's not going to be far enough, but he hit the line like a really good horse that he is. Right behind him is Without a Fight, who's a world-class racehorse as well. So he's genuinely exciting and in the mix, and the set weights penalties nature of the race gives him a hope, I think.
And Britt, I mentioned the other international, which is West Wind Blows, and this horse comes over from the UK with some very, very good form lines, and he's a horse that likes to race up on the speed. He could actually be the leader tomorrow. What's your take on West Wind Blows?
The one thing that I take from him is what the team have said, and that is that he's still a little bit mentally immature. Now, a trip across the world can actually be the making of a horse like that, and I just probably want to watch him once before knowing whether that is the case or not. But, gee, if he takes the improvement that he has in all of his runs over there and then brings that here, he's certainly exciting as well.
And Bossy, the other horse that we've got to talk about is the defending champion in the Lexus Melbourne Cup, Gold Trip, who came through the Turnbull last year before winning a Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, he had a very ordinary autumn, but he seemed to come back, and this is a slasher. I know he had 62 kilos here. It's a slowly run race, held up. He's got a liking for Moonee Valley, I must say. His runs there have been outstanding, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does back at Flemington.
And he's going to be suited with a bit of cut out of the ground.
Yeah, he loves the jar out of the track, absolutely. And that was a slashing run, as you mentioned, the tempo. He was quickest home of any horse all day. Yeah. He's come back in brilliant order. The challenge for him as we get to the Melbourne Cup is he's got to go up another kilo or two, doesn't he? So that'll be his challenge.
Speaking of Melbourne Cup hopes, the Lexus Bart Cummings is a win and you are in. This is going to be a fascinating race tomorrow or on Saturday as well, because the first emergency or the second emergency has now got a run, and that is First Immortal, who's the X factor here, Gator. This horse has come from nowhere, trained by Mark Kavanagh, who's won a Melbourne Cup, and his son Levi. He's drawn pretty awkwardly at the 2,500 metre start, though. But how do you rate him?
Oh, highly. I think he's just a really good horse. I mean, his first up run was a cracker. He carried 63 kilos the other day. He could have lapped a few of them if he wanted. He wasn't barely let go. You go back to his win at Flemington as a 3-year-old with 60 kilos over the staying trip. He accelerated with weight. It's really hard to do, Glenn, as you'd know better than all of us, for any athlete, especially for an equine athlete. But he ran the time, he put the numbers up on the clock, so he'll need a great ride from the draw, sure, but I think he's just a really good horse.
Yep. Is he the one horse out of the Bart Cummings that you could see actually win a Melbourne Cup?
Oh, I don't know I don't know about this race winning the Melbourne Cup, but I'm really interested to see this horse because the stats don't lie. He's had 4 starts at the track for 3 wins, 1 and 1 over the distance. As you say, Gator, he looks like he's got that X factor. I wouldn't worry too much about the barrier. If he's good enough, he just wins.
Oh, I know I'm putting my WA hat on here and being a little bit parochial, but for tomorrow, I reckon Alaskan God can run a big race, third in the naturalism, and I think he's really building nicely.
And J. Carr rides from Barrier 1. He has been hitting the line very well, Alaskan God. But I want to ask you about this horse, Vauban, because talking about horses that may be able to get into a Melbourne Cup, this is the favourite for the Melbourne Cup from the Willie Mullen stable. Gee, looks good and nice and relaxed at Werribee, doesn't he, Brett?
Oh, he does. You talk about weight-carrying efforts of a First Immortal. This is a horse that's been over the hurdles with 71 kilos. So he's certainly a genuine stayer, and it's just a big question mark on how they travel. But I think in all the vision we've seen this week is these horses have travelled incredibly well. He looked like he hadn't lost any weight, and if anything that he lost, they said he put straight back on, and just looks like he's settled in beautifully.
We'll be talking a lot about him in the lead up to the Melbourne Cup. One other race I want to get your thoughts on, Gator. Princess Grace v Skew Whiff. Both Group 1 form, the Kiwi versus the old American, now Aussie, trained by Chris Waller. Shortest price favourite of the day.
Yeah, it's a fascinating contest because what we've seen from Princess Grace this time in is nothing short of exceptional. She beat home Zaki, she beat home I Wish I Win, she beat home Alligator Blood. Less effective in a slowly run Maccabi Diva, but she's back a few notches here, back to her own sex, and she's going to be hard to beat. But Skew, if the last time this girl was on a racetrack, she beat Legato. Yeah. That's a horse that came here and beat the males as a 3-year-old in a Group 1 Australian Guinea. So a mouth-watering contest as well.
Gee, it's a big price difference, isn't it? One's $1.65, one's $8. That is another great race on Turnbull Stakes Day. Hey, Brett, Bossy, we'll see you again next week. It's been good fun. Thank you, Brett.
Can't wait to do it all again.
All right, Bossy. Thanks. Don't you go anywhere, though, because Gator is back after the break and we will get his best bets on Turnbull Stakes Day as we count down to the magic of Melbourne Cup Week. Welcome back to the road to the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Time now to have a look at the features and find some winners on Tab Turnbull Stakes Day. David Gately's the man to do that. Let's have a look at the market for the Group 1, the Turnbull Stakes. And as we were talking about before, it is all about the Hong Kong star Romantic Warrior. $2.10 Gator. Is that too short a price, or do you think that is how good he is?
Well, he's certainly good enough. I mean, he's the best athlete in the race, so it's a great place to start if you want to find the winner of any athletic endeavour, whether it's a 100-metre sprint or a marathon. But the challenge for him is, of course, coming here and to a new environment and settling in. Now, all reports are good. He can't talk. Horses can't talk. Well, Mr. Ed could, but look, he can't. But his mannerisms have been showing us that he's there to win the race, with an asterisk that he's probably got 10 or 20% fitness to come.
Yeah, OK. Is there a value runner that you don't mind in that race? I see Gold Trip swing back from $21 into $12, the Melbourne Cup winner.
Yeah, I think they'll always back that horse when they see a bit of rain about. So, but he was slashing first up. We've mentioned that. I think Ozapenko, I think Bossy's on the right pony there. That if there's a chink in Romantic Warrior's armour, he's the one that's fit. He's up and running. He wants 2,000 metres. He'll get a good run on the map here and be highly competitive.
Let's have a look at the market now for the other big race, and that is the Lexus Bart Cummington. Punters have been waiting for First Immortal to get a run, and he finally has. He's still got that awkward gait, but he's been well supported into $3.30. Goldman, who is Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott's major Melbourne Cup contender, is the second favourite.
Yeah, look, he's going to be extremely hard to beat, First Immortal. And I take Bossy's point about the barrier. I think it's an issue. Mathematically, it's challenging to win from that sort of draw. So he'll need a good ride. He'll need to conserve some energy and hopefully be safe just for one run. But I'm convinced he's a good horse. I think Goldman's a big danger, though. Yep. He's a genuine stay. He gets to his right distance range now. You know, I wouldn't be backing a marathon runner over 400 metres. He's been building up over these shorter trips, and now he gets to his marathon trip. All
right, I'm going to put you on the spot now, Gator. Let's have a look at the market for the Lexus Melbourne Cup right now. Vauban, he's pretty tight, isn't he? $4.50 just fine. The Metrop winner at $8. And Salcombe, whose price could drop if he runs well tomorrow. Who are you on right now in the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, well, my long-range selection was Francesco Guidis. I've got no reason from what I've seen from him so far to jump off. I am scared stiff of Vauban, given the last time, or go back 2 starts, and he beat Absurd about 7 lengths. That horse went to the Ebor and won. Just finds a risk, I think, at $8. I don't think he's a genuine stayer. Been wrong before, though, but I think he's a bit under the odds in that market, and a horse like Salcombe creates interest to a fascinating race. Always is one of our greatest races.
Yeah, it's called Moving Day on Turnbull Stakes Day. We're going to learn so much more about the Melbourne Cup tomorrow. Gator, we'll do it again next week.
Can't wait.
Hope you've enjoyed this edition of The Road to the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Good luck on Turnbull Day, and we'll do it all again next week.